The autumn fair buzzed with the usual chaos of livestock pens and vendor stalls, but inside the old community center, silence hung heavy as fog. Sarah Whitehorse sat rigid in a folding chair among a dozen other children, her dark eyes fixed on the scuffed linoleum floor. At 14, she was too old, everyone said, too quiet, too different. The whispers followed her everywhere like shadows she could never outrun. The auctioneer cleared his throat uncomfortably. We'll now continue with our special adoption showcase, where local families can meet children in need of homes. His voice cracked slightly. This is Sarah Whitehorse, age 14, Apache heritage. She's a good student, excellent with animals, and ... He paused, shuffling papers. We're reducing her monthly support requirement to half the standard amount to encourage placement. Half price. The words hit Sarah like a physical blow. She had become a clearance item, marked down because no one wanted her at full value. Her grandmother's words echoed in her memory. Hold your head high, little one. You carry the strength of generations. But right now, Sarah felt nothing but small. Families looked past her toward the younger children, the cute ones with dimples and easy smiles. A couple near the front actually laughed, though they tried to hide it behind their programs. Sarah's hands clenched into fists in her lap. She had spent 3 years in foster care since her grandmother passed, moving from home to home, never quite fitting in, never quite enough. The room felt suffocating. Sarah stood abruptly, ready to walk out and save herself this final humiliation, when a voice rang out from the doorway. I'll bid. Every head turned. A man in his 50s stood there, his weathered face half hidden beneath a wide-brimmed hat, his boots dusty from the fairgrounds outside. Cole Brennan owned the largest ranch in 3 counties, a man known for his horses and his solitude. He had buried his wife 5 years ago and his daughter 7 years before that. People said he had forgotten how to smile. The auctioneer blinked. Mr. Brennan, this isn't exactly a cattle auction. This is an adoption information session, I understand that. Cole interrupted, his voice carrying the rough authority of someone used to being heard. I'm interested in providing a home for the young lady. What are the requirements? Sarah stared at him, her heart pounding. This had to be some kind of joke, another cruelty to add to the collection. But Cole's eyes met hers across the room, and there was something in his gaze that wasn't pity. It was recognition, as if he saw something familiar in her isolation. The coordinator stumbled through an explanation about home studies and background checks, about trials and transitions. Cole listened patiently, never looking away from Sarah. When the woman finished, he simply nodded. I'll complete whatever paperwork is necessary. In the meantime, I'd like to speak with Sarah. If she's willing. Sarah found herself following him outside, past the curious stares and excited whispers. They walked in silence to the horse pens at the edge of the fairgrounds. Cole leaned against the fence, watching Amara nuzzle her foal. I lost my daughter when she was about your age, he said quietly. Cancer, then my wife a few years later. Heart just gave out from grief, the doctor said. He turned to face Sarah. I'm not looking to replace them. Nobody could. But this ranch, it's too big for one person, too quiet. And I heard what that fool said in there about half price, like you're some kind of damaged merchandise. Sarah's throat tightened. Maybe I am? No, Cole's voice was firm. You're a young woman who survived loss and kept going. That takes more strength than most people will ever know. I'm not offering charity, Sarah. I'm offering a partnership. The ranch needs work. The horses need someone with a gentle hand. And I need someone to teach me how to live again instead of just existing. Why me? Sarah whispered. Cole was quiet for a long moment. Because when I looked at you in there, I saw someone who understands that silence isn't weakness. Someone who knows that being strong doesn't mean pretending you're not hurting. And maybe because you look like you needed someone to see you as valuable without any discounts or conditions. The foal whinnied softly, pressing against its mother's side. Sarah watched them, thinking about belonging and worth, about the price tags the world puts on people and the courage it takes to believe you're worth more. I don't know anything about ranching, she said finally. I don't know anything about raising a teenage daughter in this century, Cole replied with the ghost of a smile. Guess we'll figure it out together. The paperwork took 4 months. Social workers were skeptical of a single older man wanting to adopt a teenage girl, but Cole's patience and Sarah's tentative hope eventually won them over. He drove 3 hours each way every weekend to visit, teaching her about horses, and listening to her talk about the grandmother who had raised her, the Apache stories she still remembered. On the day Sarah moved to the ranch permanently, Cole handed her a leather-bound journal. Inside the front cover he'd written, "Value isn't determined by what others are willing to pay. It's inherent, unshakable, and yours by right of being human. Welcome home." Sarah traced the words with her finger, then looked up at the man who had seen her worth when others saw only a burden. "Thank you," she said, her voice stronger than it had been in years. Cole squeezed her shoulder gently. "No, Sarah, thank you for giving an old cowboy a reason to wake up with purpose again." As the sun set over the ranch, painting the sky in shades of amber and rose, Sarah felt something shift inside her chest. Not healing exactly, but the beginning of it. She was no longer half-price, no longer a discount or a risk. She was simply Sarah Whitehorse, daughter of this land and this man who chose her, whole and valuable and finally, beautifully home.